On this week's episode of the Going Deeper podcast, we are talking about summer practices. What's up, Fathom Church? Welcome to the Going Deeper podcast. These are episodes we like to take a topic or even a sermon and dive deeper into it, hopefully to help you go deeper in your relationship with God. This summer, we have been in our summer practices series where we're really taking simple things, simple ideas, and really just getting practical with them and talking about what these things look like in your everyday life, at home, at work, in your neighborhood, wherever it is. But I'm in our podcast studio here with our lead pastor, Chris Martin. Hello, Christopher.
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good.
Here we go. Dog days of summer.
Good. Dog days of summer. You're right. You're right. And today we're going to be talking about practicing lament. Practicing lament. Now, I think when we talk about this word lament, I think some people have either like know what it is, know what lament really means, or some of us might hear it and not like it and not want to talk about it. And I feel like it's one of those things that isn't really talked about too much. But hey, we have a whole book in the Bible about this. But Chris, let me throw it over to you first and just ask you, could you define what we mean by lament? Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's probably a popular version of this, but I want to talk, let's talk biblical lament. Okay. Biblical lament is an honest prayer in a time of pain. That's how I would, it's an honest prayer. So lament is directed to God.
Yeah.
We direct our lament to God, and it's honest. So it's an honest prayer. That means it's not polished. That means it doesn't have to come with some sort of formality or some sort of pomp. It's an honest prayer in seasons or times of pain. So when there's struggle, when there's suffering, we don't have to come to God with and put on some sort of pretense or some sort of happy face. We can honestly come before our Father in heaven with every emotion that comes with it, real life hardships, and even coming at Him with anger, frustrations, things like that, real emotions that human beings feel. Bringing those to our Father, not feeling like we have to put on some sort of polished act before our Father.
Yeah, I think that's good, because I think sometimes for me, when I think of this, it can easily become thinking about it more as, just like I'm complaining or whining about just things that are going on that I just don't like or whatever like that. Instead of what you just said, Chris, I think it's important to think of like it's honest feelings, honest emotions, honest pain, like what you're dealing with, and bringing those before God. I mean, there is Lamentations is a whole book in the Bible that's based on lament.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you see this stuff all through the Old Testament specifically. Like you see Psalms of lament. David has Psalms of lament. You will see prophets like Jeremiah, who we attribute Lamentations to, but Jeremiah is a prophet who, at one point, he brings his anger and his frustration and even like his protest to God. God, you have deceived me. He says things like that's an honest emotion during pain, an honest prayer during pain. So it's grief, it's sorrow, it's confusion, it's fear. It's all of these things that we don't feel like we have to hide from God for fear of retribution or for fear of repercussion or fear that hey, that's just not how Christians behave how they you shouldn't feel those things, or that God's not able to handle those things.
Yeah, and I feel like that's it's important because it's bringing these things to God, because a lot of the times we get into these modes of grief or confusion or frustration even, and we can be frustrated at things, at God or whatever, and we're not bringing them to Him. We're not like we'll talk about our frustrations out loud, or we'll like keep them inside or whatever like that. And this is being honest about those and actually bringing them to God in prayer.
Now, let me add a couple pieces here. Biblical lament is not just whining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, sometimes lament is just a synonym for being sad,
right.
or a synonym for, sometimes people, it's just, I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to be a whiner. I don't want to be a complainer.
Yeah.
That's not what you're doing in biblical lament. So let me add this to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is bringing God your real, unpolished emotions and turning to him in prayer in that. It's naming what is hurt or what feels unresolved, whatever it might be. But then there's also, in most of the laments in the scriptures, there's a petition. There's asking God to act or to move or to heal or to forgive. And there's almost always a reaffirmation of trust in that. So in a biblical lament, you bring your honest angst to your Father. You ask him to do something about it. Yeah. And then you reaffirm that you trust him. And so I think there's important pieces when we think about, because it's not just whining. It's not just complaining. It's not just being sad about the, woe is me, Eeyore kind of navel gazing. No. It's an acknowledgement of the hard. And then it's preaching to yourself through the prayers that God can do something about it. And you ask that he would do something about it.
Well, and I was going to ask you why this feels like something that Christians like to avoid, which I think that's part of it, is like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm complaining or whining, or maybe other people are telling you that, like, oh, don't complain or whine about our stuff. But what are some other ways, some other reasons why we might avoid true biblical lament?
Yeah. So one is a misunderstanding of God.
Yeah.
Thinking that God's going to be upset or ticked, or that like somehow but that would be merit-based theology, which is not what we believe in. And so to think that God is upset with you because you're upset with him or your circumstances. So improper view of God. An improper view of others and like yourself and others, like humanity. Like you just don't want to be the Debbie Downer, like that's, or sometimes it's just an improper theology that's been taught to you that like, no, Christians are happy. Christians are joyful. Okay. Yes, Christians are joyful people. And that doesn't mean that we are insane people who don't acknowledge the trials and tribulations of being a human being in a fallen world.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, it's just false. Like living without lament is false. It's fake. In this life, you will have troubles. Like that's the promise. And so you don't have to pretend like you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend like you don't, or you don't have to pretend like you like it or something. No, in this world, you will have trials. In this world, you will have troubles. In this world, you will have tribulations. But take heart, I've overcome the world. So even in the midst of that, he doesn't say, and they're all going to be made better. It's no. You still have Jesus in the midst of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think kind of easily, maybe nowadays, church cultures can very easily skip over. I think some churches like to skip over the pain, skip over the negative things. So you call it and just kind of go to this silver linings, like everything's good. And I think it's not to go again, fully the opposite way. But I think it's important to be in a church that is real.
Sure.
Just like you said about kind of both sides of this, that kind of weighs these both similarly, and is not just a church that says everything's going to be good, everything's fine, we're skipping over pain, but also not like, oh, everything's absolutely terrible. Like, so I think it's good to find a church that is honest and open and truthful about the state of things and the state of following Jesus and what that actually comes with. So I think that's super important. Chris, let's get into just some practical, maybe some practices on good ways to lament? Is it maybe I'll ask you this first. What is like we've talked about prayer and how to lament and be honest in our prayer and our pain with God. What does this look like maybe communally? Can you lament with other people? What does this look like in the church?
Yeah. So Romans 12, sorry, I pulled it up. 15 says, rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep, which is, it's the mark of Christianity. It's a mark of Christian community is that we're pumped with people when they're pumped. We rejoice with people when they rejoice, but we also bear burdens. We weep with each other. So I do think it absolutely can be practiced communally. It can be practiced in corporate worship, right? Where we can read scriptures, we can sing songs, we can pray prayers of corporate lament. We can, in small groups and even in small community like our church, know what's going on in each other's lives and be sorrowful. Like we're reading Job in our 1 year and 1 year reading plan. And I love, here, I'm going to flip to it just because I love the very beginning of Job. It gets a little off the hinges for a while there.
It does?
It gets a little crazy for a minute there. But like in the beginning of Job, after you kind of get past the Satan and God going back and forth, Job's friends show up, and it's fascinating. At the very end of chapter 2, it said they sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. Just sitting with, so like being with somebody in their moments, lamenting with them, not just, let's slap a happy, clappy Christian bumper sticker on it. And, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, or, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you. Like you throw some packaged scripture. No. Like lament, like sit with them and cry with them and weep with them. And so you can do that in community. Additionally, a church community can corporately lament over things in this world, over natural disasters, over cultural issues, lots of stuff. You can talk about school shootings and things like moments where churches band together and all we do is just lament. We just say, God, this is awful. We hate this. This is so broken. This is so backwards. Move, do something about it, Lord. So we practice that kind of corporate lament as well. So yes, it is a personal thing, but it very much is a communal thing.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good, especially for those who maybe struggle with this, whether it's some of the things we've already talked about of you don't want to be that person who feels like they're whining or complaining or sad or whatever like that, that it is biblical to do this with others and to be there for others and to lament with others.
Yep.
Chris, last little thing, and I guess maybe for those people who, some encouragement from you from those people who don't know how to do this really or struggle with this. Just some encouragement for us to practice real lament, why it's important, but also some encouragement for us.
Yeah, I would. I mean, here's my encouragement. I think it's okay to be real with God. So in your prayer life, whether that's in a prayer journal, whether that's in your shower where you're praying, maybe you're on a run and you're praying, whatever it might look like, you don't have to put on a show. Like the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is really clear that you can pray to your Father in heaven and you just pray what you've got. Just pray where you're actually at. Pray what you actually feel. So my encouragement is to practice honesty. Sometimes, listen, that honesty will show up in the form of lament. And you know what? When the wheels are falling off of your life, go to God with that honestly. And then sometimes you're thankful and you're grateful and you're full of joy and you bless him. And that prayer sounds different. You don't have to be overly morose, nor do you need to be overly like happy and delirious. Just be real. Be real with God in your prayers. He wants your relationship. He wants your relationship. That's what he wants.
I think that's so good. So good. Hey, yeah. Thank you, Chris, for this discussion on lament. Church, hopefully this helps you put some of these things into practice. Thank you for listening to this, and we'll catch you next time.